Well, start again. Well, it's time to talk about sex again, in particular about having a bit on the side. Now, Jesus seems to have rather a dim view of adultery. He says some fairly strong things about it. I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Now, I have some sympathy with the idea of thinking about your thought processes. However, it seems to me that every straight man will be looking at some point or other at some women or other with lust in their hearts. So this means absolutely every man, I can't talk for women, but maybe it's true for women as well, has failed this sort of test. And it worries me that, you know, we've evolved or been created, one or the other, to have these sexual feelings, and yet we're being condemned because of something that, well, if God created the world, then he made. So I'm not very sure how. I mean, it's a good trick. If you're preaching to, you want people to repent, you've got to make them feel guilty. Well, I suppose this is one way of making them feel guilty, but it doesn't feel quite right to me. And then Jesus goes on about divorce as well. Now, in Mark's Gospel, Jesus says, "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her." Luke agrees. Anyone who divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. Matthew, however, gives us a little bit of wiggle room. He says, "Whoever divorces his wife except for unchastity." So there's a tiny little bit of wiggle room there. What I think's missing from the divorce bit is any feeling of the pain and suffering that many people, mostly women, go through if they're married to someone who's violent. And the fact that there's no divorce because of that bad treatment is really worrying. Now, it seems to me in the past century, the last few decades, there's been an increase in empathy, an increase of understanding of how people feel, so that we don't condemn people unless we understand how they're feeling. In fact, we don't condemn people in the same way at all. So we understand that all people have sexual feelings. So we don't condemn them for those feelings. We might condemn them for their actions, but not those feelings. And when it comes to divorce, we're more aware of people's suffering and people's need to be able to escape from that sort of situation. I think I'm glad I live nowadays where divorce is obviously, I would think, right for some people. And I don't think a blanket condemnation of it is appropriate. And at the same point, we accept people's sexual feelings and in fact rejoice in them at times and see the good in that. And yet the Bible doesn't seem to all the time, does it? Never mind.
The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessary.